In this video, I'm going to be teaching you to knit the purl stitch. The purl stitch is the inverse of the knitting stitch, and it is the stitch that you need to know in order to be able to knit this most iconic and classic stocking net stitch. Most people associate this with knitting, where you have the pretty sweater-like V's on one side, and on the back side of the work, you have these rows that look like little rows of purls. That's very helpful so that you can remember when you're looking at your work, if you're on a purl side or a wrong side row where you have to purl, you'll notice these little bumps. And if you're on a right side where you have to knit, you'll see these V's. So I'm using circular needles here, but I've taken off the loop so that the sound of them whacking on the table doesn't bother you. But you can knit this with circular or straight needles. This is just a swatch. This is 10 stitches wide, where I have knit 2 rows of knitting at the bottom, and then I did all knitting on this side and purls on this side. And now I'm going to demonstrate what a purl stitch looks like. So with my needle in my right hand, I'm going to take the yarn, and I'm actually going to make sure that my yarn is on the front of my work as opposed to knitting where the yarn is held to the back. With the purl row, your yarn is held to the front. And you hold it just the same way that you do with a knitting. I tension by holding the yarn around my index finger, and then I tension by pulling on these with these 2 fingers back here. So I bring my needle through the very first stitch from back to front like this, where the needle, instead of going front to back through the legs of the stitch with the left-hand needle on top, that's knitting. With purling, you come back to front with the right-hand needle on top and the left-hand needle behind. And then you take your yarn in your right hand and you wrap, going counterclockwise around your needle. And then you slide your needle down so that it is at a T stop with your other needle here. And you swish it through the stitch to the back and slide your old stitch off. So coming up back to front, looping around, swoop through, and pass your stitch off. Back to front, swoop around, loop through, push off. I'll go slow so that you can see me do the whole row. And that's it. I've completed my first, or my next row of purl stitches. I'm going to turn the work around, and I would continue knitting this by knitting the next row. And if I continue in that way, I'll get a nice long little miniature scarf, but it's probably the end of that swatch. It's long enough, don't you think? Bye.